And that's the thing. I'm not ever going to tell anybody what to believe about God or anything. But if you saw something and you had dreamt, all right, you had dreamt about someone for decades, maybe more, written about those dreams. That's right, the book's right there. In this little red book that included all this stuff about Mary Magdalene, rocket ships. I mean, it has a lot of stuff. Turn that dream that you had about, all right, I was in a train car in the London Underground. I was like 18. I was in a train car in the London Underground, and everyone was dressed like all in brown. They were really boring. Then this Danish woman that I had met before comes up to me and she whispers Heidegger. I don't know why. In my ear. Heidegger talks about Dasein, which is their being. But he's also accused of being a Nazi. Maybe he was. I don't really like Heidegger that much. Especially since he's a Nazi. Or maybe he was accused of one. Like, I don't like that. I can't stand Nazis. And Jews, I love you. Black people are the chosen people this time around. Historically, their experiences are a lot like Jews in the Old Testament. You know, but anyway. You don't have to be like this and this. Everything's always this or this. I mean, this or this. It's either this or this. It could be both. It can be this and this. You got to open up your mind. See the way a mind that would be able to not only create the universe, but understand everything in the universe and love it all would see it. That's hard, but you got to reprogram your mind, your brain, synaptically, at the level of actual connections between brain cells. Anyway, I know it was a lot. So in that dream, you know, this woman takes me up this flight of stairs. It's a spiraling staircase because the train car becomes the base of a tower. And she takes me to this girl, this woman that I had known my whole life, that I'd always known forever. And then first we made love just looking into each other's eyes. And then all the handles and all these drawers in the room become penises. But it was like, I don't know, the way I wrote it, I was like, and the way I remember it was like, oh, that's cool. And then we made love, like actually with our bodies. And that was such a powerful dream for me. And it was Ronnie in that dream. I didn't know it at the time because I never met her. She was 9 years old, which is funny because in Hot Tub Time Machine, the main character goes back in time and delivers a letter to his wife who was 9 years old. Anyway, he goes back in time. All these time things. But I turned that dream into the first attempt I ever made at a novel. I called the novel The Still, because the main character was looking for this moment when time stands still and he can transcend time. And I gave him that dream. His name was Charles. I abandoned that novel, The Still, but I always wrote about that, The Still. And I wrote about it in ways trying to get it into this novel, which is about rock and roll. So a lot of the ways I wrote about things, I tried to make them really ugly and dark, because I figured that sells. I was trying to write a novel. It sold. But I had all these other dreams about this woman, this girl, that was Ronnie. I mean, when I met her, I was like, oh, that's her. And I remember the first thing I thought, or one of the first things I thought was, that's like the girl from the dream. And she kind of reminds me of my first secretary, Angie Perez. Then I came back here. I found all the stuff I wrote about those dreams. And I called the girl in the dreams with Ronnie Maggie, with Mary Magdalene, but also Angie, because she reminded me of Angie Perez. And I was like, holy shit. Not only was I right with her, but I wrote it down. And I also wrote about this moment when, to me, it was Maggie, Angie Perez. No, it wasn't Angie Perez. I was never really attracted to Angie Perez, but there's something else about her that reminded me of her. It was the freckles, I think. Something, the contours of her face. And she touched my hand in this one dream. And then in these other dreams, I go into the beast for her and for love. And when she touched my hand, I said echoes went down, and then it was the still. And in the moment that I experienced God from my perspective, Ronnie was singing Just to See You Smile, and she was crying because her father had died. And she touched my hand. And then it felt like, for me, time stopped. I saw this vision. There were like 55,000 things that were all interconnected and about racism and Ronnie and Cooper Evans and me loving her till the day I die and blah, 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 blah. And conquering dragons and it being a fairy tale and blah, 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 blah. Everything I literally, it's taken me 3 years. I haven't unpacked that one moment. I'll never be able to explain it. It was like one letter in the divine alphabet that was able to adapt. It wasn't static. So it was like a map of the future for me in my life that would allow me to adapt to people trying to attack my fairy tale, like John Qualtrough, and cops and Christians mostly. I mean, I believe in Jesus, but it's hard when you have an experience like that. And then you come back to it, and there's this woman or girl. She's crying because her father died. So you're like, oh, well, yeah, let me just stop. Hey, stop crying. Let me tell you about this vision I had from God, and you got to marry me. First of all, you're going to sound crazy. Secondly, she's crying because she just lost her father. Shut the fuck up. Console her. Right? And then that's on Beacon Street in Oakland. And then on the rooftop, I see a bunch of cops in riot gear. Because people are marching for Black Lives Matter because citizens have been shot by cops. And they're responding with brutality to a march about police brutality like a bunch of fucking Nazis. And later on that week, me and Ronnie are up on the rooftop and she's on my lap. And I get this moment where I'm like thinking about the Wynton Marsalis thing and some of the things I had seen in that other moment and hadn't really processed. Then now she's not crying. So I'm seeing all the beauty of it. And we're on that rooftop, and I remember from earlier that week, I saw the cops and how it all involves racism and police brutality and all this stuff. So I started wailing. Like I was crying because it was so beautiful. And she's there in my lap, my queen. But I just started crying because I was happy. And she asked me why I was crying. What are you going to say? You can't just give her a 55,000 piece puzzle connected to me winning her heart. Couldn't. So I just made a promise. I said, I promise I'll do anything. I might not see you for years. Years. Because I knew I won't see you for years. But I'm always going to love you. And I'm going to do anything to win your heart. Anything at all. And I will always say yes to you. Always. Because I asked her if she believed in God when we first met. And she said, yeah, duh. And it was like God came down and said yes to her and yes to me. And yes to me loving her. And then I'm saying yes back to God and I'm saying yes back to her. And then trying to win her heart so that she says yes to me. That's it. I mean, I have a million ways to explain it, but there's a real dragon. And a real princess that I'm really trying to win her heart by slaying a fucking dragon. And it's a real fairy tale. And I really want to live happily ever after with my queen. And you know, people, I mean, I saw it. Like, everyone's going to see you as a fool. People like John Qualtrough. Man, you really played into that, didn't you? I mean, you didn't know that you were. That's the ironic thing about all this. So many people trying to teach me so many lessons just play into becoming the villains in my fairy tale. And that's what you did. You became a villain in my fairy tale. John. What else? What else could you be but a villain? You act just like the villains I saw, who don't see a dragon, who don't see me, who don't see Ronnie, but my soldiers in there. We used to say to each other, I see you, because we're overlooked, undervalued by people like you, who tell us what to do, treat us like children. Treat us like children. You know better than me. About me. You don't see me. Ronnie was the first who ever saw me. CME. Chris motherfucking Evans equals MC squared. Race car. Forward and backward in time. Fuck you, man. My people see me. And I see them. I'm not a fool.